Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our continuing education podcast. Today, we're talking about the forbidden fruit. And what that means, the forbidden fruit is like what we're using to call people that we shouldn't pursue or we shouldn't have liked, but we did anyway. And Sania gave me this idea as a future idea. We weren't meant to talk about it today. And here we are talking about it. So you might never see this episode. Who knows? And so we're going to break all of that down. And we're going to wrap this episode up with a toxicology report. And before we get into all of that, Sania, a lot has happened this past weekend. I know for you, but also for me.
Ooh.
And so I need to be a little careful about what I say. I'll tell you more off camera.
Ooh.
And then we'll see like when I'm able to say it on this podcast.
Okay.
But over the weekend, I was hanging out with a friend group.
Right.
So it's not my usual friend group.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this girl in this friend group that I think likes me.
Mm-hmm.
And originally I wasn't going to hang out with them because I already had a sense that maybe she was into me.
Right.
And I just hadn't really considered her in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, like the biggest sign was when I was invited, because I'm not part of this group.
Right.
And even though I'm like cool with the people,
Yeah.
I felt like it was really obvious. And so I talked to my friends about it, and I really suggest that if you're out there and you're like going through a situation like this, to really lean on your friends, because in a moment like that, I don't think I was thinking super straight, and I probably couldn't like make the best decision for myself.
Okay.
But my friends really encouraged me to go.
Right. But you also had people encouraging you to not go.
That's true.
But you ended up deciding to go.
I ended up deciding to go because if you listen to episode 14, for you out there, like we talk about how, well, we talk about this rule to always say yes to a first date. And this wasn't even a first date. This is just hanging out in a different group setting. And one of my takeaways from the episode is that you just never know about a person, especially because if they're your friend or you've known them in one context, there's a good chance you just never were able to talk to them one-on-one or even consider them in a romantic way, or even just like beyond friends. And to just shut something down before even like giving or allowing those thoughts seems a little savage.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's why I went, and that's why I listened to those friends, because that was basically their point.
Okay.
And also I think if I didn't go and just check it out, I would not be like fit to give dating advice. And you shouldn't listen to the podcast. Okay.
So now that you went, do you feel like you're going to pursue something with her? Are you interested? Let's just
So I said just before that I never really considered her that way.
Yeah.
Like we were friends and friends only. So I was talking to my friends about it, like my closest friends, and everyone makes snap judgments on people, right?
100%.
And so like I've already like put her in a box.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I'm challenging myself in this moment to not stay in the box or and then I think what that will look like is by seeing where this goes.
Okay.
And trying to figure out how well our values align, because instead of like placing a lot of emphasis on physical attraction or on shared hobbies or even on personality, because our personalities are super different, and that does catch me off guard.
Okay.
Instead, I think I'm gonna think about and try to be intentional about, do our values align? Mm-hmm. And is there something like, is there a potential that we can build something out of it?
Okay.
And so I'm trying to have that mindset.
Okay. Well, let me just be the first to say that, folks, you saw it here first. It is worthwhile to go on that first date.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. It is a good thing that you challenge yourself, because you're right, especially in this day and age of like TikTok and those apps where you're reacting to things so quickly.
Yeah.
It's hard to like take a step back and be like, you know, to actually give somebody a chance and to like let them have to look at them without all your biases, sort of, and treat them like you would treat anybody else and just give them that chance. So I think that's super mature. Mm-hmm. And I think it's cool, and you can share at your own pace and keep us posted with what happens. But
yeah, I totally agree.
I'm excited for you. You met somebody out in the wild. That is really impressive also.
Thanks, I guess.
That's really impressive. It's cool.
Do you want to talk about your big talk?
Yeah, so I finally had this is the fourth big talk that I had with serial dater. I personally felt like since we decided to, and I was telling him this, so I feel comfortable sharing, that since we decided to go our separate ways, and then we still kept coming back to like, you know, talk to see if maybe our separate ways don't have to be so separate. I feel like every time we meet to talk, I don't know, I'm going to call them dates, because every time we hang out, he puts in so much effort. It's like a huge, huge difference from like when we were actually together versus now we're not together and we're deciding what happens next, or if anything happens next. And like, wow, like I thought going to the bungalow was nice, which it really was. But like lately, like I've just been like, oh my gosh, this is like amazing. Yeah. I'm always really late coming out of my apartment, because I don't know why I always tend to run late. Usually he'll complain about it, but like this time I was like 20 minutes late, which is really bad. Yeah. Like, and I apologize profusely. It's really, really, really bad. But like he was like fine. He was like on the phone with a friend waiting downstairs, like no complaints. We went to like an amazing place. So anyway, so I'm getting kind of sad about the fact that we're not together, because it's been so good since it's been like over, which is really like confusing for me. So we hung out on Saturday. We went out, and it was just good vibes. Like, so we didn't really get a chance to talk. Yeah. And he told the restaurant it was our anniversary, because he's like, oh, it's been like X amount of time since we've known each other. And I was like, oh. And they gave cute menus that said like happy anniversary on them. And I was like, we're not together, but this is really cute. And then, you know, because I keep feeling like I have to be like the mommy and the responsible one and put on my big girl pants. And I was like, okay, we do still need to talk. So then we met the next day on Sunday, and I was like, okay, we've been like beating around the bush. Like, I've had time to think about the stuff I can compromise on and the stuff I can't. Like, this is exactly where I stand. And I said exactly what I need and what kind of timeline I'm looking at. And like, yeah, I just asked for my stuff, and I was like, this is the stuff that's changed since we first had this conversation. This is the stuff that is still the same. And then he said his bit, and we came to the same conclusion that we came to the first time, which is that it just doesn't work. So this time I took Ethan's advice, and you know, when we were saying goodbye, because he was talking about like, oh, like, you know, things have been going good, like we can't jump back in where we were before, but maybe we start over from zero. And I was like, to be honest, I'm not doing from zero. Like, I've already invested a lot of time into this. Like, for me, it's like, I'm talking about if we can start at 100, like you want to go back to 0. And he also has like some needs that he wants in a relationship that are not being met. Like, for example, he wants those texts and calls every day. I personally love not doing that. And I think, not in a rude way, but I really enjoyed, you know, in our broken up time that we didn't have to do that. And I could just see him on the weekends. Like, I'll know I'm going to see him, and that's it. Like, it doesn't need to be like which it's not like I minded, but it didn't bother me that we weren't doing it. Yeah. So there's some stuff that he's not happy with, and that's why he wanted to, like, he was proposing starting from ground zero, and I was like, no, like, I can't do that either. Like, that's not really what I want. So used Ethan's advice and I told him, you already know where I stand. I understand that there's other stuff you want. There's needs you have that are not being met. If you ever decide that you can meet me where I am, you can reach out. But if not, please don't text me. Wow. I hit him with the please don't text me.
Wow. That's serious. And so far, he's not texted you.
No. I did have travel plans that were kind of up in the air when I was talking to him this weekend. And they were not really solidified yet. And he did tell me, like, let me know if you end up going out of town. So I don't know if I want to let him know because I personally thinking about it, and I've been thinking about it all day yesterday and all morning, and I'm just like, I don't see the point in me letting him know because I don't see that that's gonna solve anything, or like, you know, it'll just give us a chance to talk again the same stuff, and like I might, not that I'm gonna lie, but I might have not tell him.
Yeah, I don't think you should tell him.
Yeah, unless he like texts me and he's like, so are you around still? Da da da. Just because, like, I don't know, I guess clearly he still wants to talk or something. I don't know why he...
We both know why.
I don't know. Yeah. So maybe I won't. Like, my gut feeling is to not let him know because I don't think it matters. Yeah. Whether I'm in town or not.
It doesn't matter.
Because for him, it was like, oh, if you're going to go away, like, you never text me when you're away. Like, and we don't talk at all whenever I go away because I like very much, if I'm with my family, I like to be with my family. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a very in-the-moment person. I, like, leave my phone in the other room. Mm. Which I know is really bad for, like, if you're in a relationship. But I did also tell him if he wants that kind of serious relationship and who wants me to take time away from my family, my friends, and give it to him, I need to feel a little more secure in the relationship. Mm-hmm. Which I don't, so I can't give that to him.
Yeah. Like, you've kind of, like, defined your boundaries. Like, family's important. Yeah. And for people that you're not actually in a relationship with, like, they're just not going to hear from you. But in the same way, like, you've also defined a boundary now where you're like, if you're not ready to get married, let's not keep talking. Mm-hmm. And so, like, just like you standing on business, like on just having family time be family time, you also need to like stay firm on not continuing the conversation with him. Mm-hmm. He's not gonna just change overnight, and he's trying to show you that he is by stepping up the dates and trying to convince you other ways. Mm-hmm. And guys will do that. Guys do that all the time because they're trying to win battles, but not the war.
Like, I'll be honest, the rom-com part of my brain, when after Saturday, I was just like swooning. I was like, oh my gosh, like I've never had somebody try so hard to get, you know, I don't want to say to win me back, but like kind of like that. And I was really like flattered by it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, wow, it just shows how much I mean to him.
Yeah. And if it's really genuine, when he is ready, he will come back. Yeah. But if he is not ready for like everything that you want, it's you need to stay by it.
Yeah, I do realize every time we meet, we repeat the same cycle. Yeah. Avoid the conversation for like weeks and weeks and weeks, and then the result is always the same. So. Yeah. Yeah.
I really admire you. What you did isn't easy, and I hope that like you'll have some kind of accountability so that you don't text them by accident.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. All right. Maybe collectively we will keep Sania accountable.
Very hard task.
You're always welcome in our DMs. Except just don't send us anything like crazy. Okay. Let's get into today's episode. So I'm not sure exactly how we're titling this, but we're talking about people who are not good for us to pursue or to like, and what do we do in those situations? Sania and I have both been on the side where we've liked people that we shouldn't have, and in these situations, Sania, why are they the forbidden fruit? Why should we not have liked them?
Wow, that's like a very big question.
I can start.
I mean, do you want to define to our viewers what or who
Yeah.
constitutes being a forbidden fruit?
Yeah. So I think to like someone who we're like calling forbidden fruit means that you're crossing some kind of boundary. So
Okay.
maybe they're seeing someone else currently, or maybe they are in jail. or like, I don't know, they're a felon or something. Maybe they were your previous abuser.
Okay.
Maybe they there's a power imbalance, so maybe they're your boss, or they're your professor,
Or your student.
Exactly. So those are just some examples, but I think in those examples there's some kind of boundary, either like a boundary or even like a safety boundary that you're crossing, and even like a long distance boundary. And in these situations, it's very easy to convince yourself, oh, this is not a big deal. This is not what's important.
Right.
And I think for me, the reason why, like, I would call this girl forbidden fruit is because I can't say everything, but like what I will say is that she was gonna move away.
Okay.
And so it wouldn't have made sense to pursue something because she was like gonna start a new life.
Okay.
And like I had just met her. So like what is, I think the boundary is that she's moving away and starting a new life. So what kind of place do I have in that?
Right. Okay. Yeah, like for me, I think I've had like multiple, now that we defined it clearly, I think I've had many.
Multiple
forbidden
felons?
fruits. And I don't know about you, Ethan, but I think for me personally, like I think I liked those people that I knew I was not supposed to like. Like for example, it started for me at a very young age. Like I was in the 5th grade and my best friend's twin brother. And I knew you're not supposed to go for your friend's siblings, your friend's brother. Because he was, like, obviously they were twins, so he was our age. And, like, it was, like, very well-known fact, like, this girl does not want anybody talking to her brother. But we were best friends. We used to hang out with him a lot. And, like, I knew it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And that made me want it more. Which I think is a really bad way to think. Like, in that case, nothing happened. We were very young. Like, a 6th grade relationship, 5th grade, whatever, like... You know, but he was my first kiss though.
Wow.
But I think that's what makes those kinds of relationships so inviting, because like you know you're doing something wrong, but it feels so sneaky, and you're like, oh, but if I do it this way and it could still work, and like you come up with those excuses and those reasons to be like, oh, it's not that bad, like you said, or like, oh, no one's gonna find out, or like all these like, again, bad thoughts come into your mind with them. And just that, like, I think people get like a, I don't want to say like a high, but like, you know, they get like a rush from being able to do something that you shouldn't be doing.
I see.
It's like sitting on a roller coaster.
So I think I would actually like break up the forbidden fruit into 2 groups. So like one group is the forbidden fruit, and then one group is like the guilty fruit.
Ooh.
And so I think actually like that boy was like probably under the guilty fruit, because to be honest, like how cool would it be to like marry your best friend's brother? I think because then you're like really part of the family
100%.
And then like, so I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing.
Okay.
It's different than like you
when it's actually
you're, like,
bad for you.
Yeah, you're like going out with your married professor.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
So like I think a situation like that, you still feel guilty though, because you're probably not telling your friend like what's going on or how you feel. And so
when you break up, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, the
Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah. So I think like there's some situations where if there isn't good communication, you're still like not in the best place, which is like what you brought up.
Yeah.
And then there's some situations where, okay, like this should just not happen in general.
Okay. So let's focus more on those forbidden fruits then.
Okay.
Instead of these like guilty fruits.
Wait, so does mine fall under guilty?
I think yours
or
is kind of guilty because, you know, you knew she was going away and you had that sense of guilt because you're like, I know that there's no future with her and here I am still pursuing this.
Okay, but you and I actually know that she's forbidden fruit.
Really?
Yeah.
We.
This is the girl.
Oh.
It's the same girl.
Okay. I see. Yeah, that does make it more forbidden.
Okay, so you just have to take our word for it. This girl is forbidden fruit.
Okay.
And Sania will back me up on that.
She is forbidden fruit.
Okay.
Okay, so why would we want to go for these forbidden fruit options?
So I really like what you said. I think the chase is exciting and the chase feels more dangerous because we have a sense that, okay, this, like, we're probably crossing some kind of boundary, but the line isn't really clear.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, as people, as humans, we like things that feel new and exciting, that activate
that are like a challenge. You know, they're different. They're not, like, if you had a girl come up to you on the street or while you're playing pickleball.
You bring up pickleball a lot.
Because Ethan says he's very good, so.
Did I ever say that?
So you have this girl versus you have this other girl who is complicated and messy and you know it's not right.
Yeah.
What makes you, like, because, like, is it something in us, a flaw that makes us choose this more complicated and messy option instead of this healthy, viable, like, safe, clean-cut, like, option?
Wow.
Because I'm sure we've both had, it's not like we can say we can be victims and we can be like, oh, only the messy people approach me. That's definitely not true. We get a mix of both. So it's like, what makes us go towards those messy ones?
I'm, like, close to, like, understanding something, but I'm not quite there yet.
Okay, I might say something controversial.
Okay.
Did you come up with your thought?
I'm still thinking.
Okay, this might not be fully, people might not side with this, but this is what I kind of think. I'm thinking back to my forbidden fruit, and I'm like, what if we choose those people because deep, deep, deep down, like, we know that they won't give us a relationship. Like, we're in the front of our mind, we're, like, chasing that delusion of, like, oh, like, we're going to change them. Or, oh, it's messy, but this is, like, the one-off case that it works. And we're chasing that, like, fantasy scenario. But what if, like, in our stomachs, in the back of our minds, like, the thought is there that it's not going to work. And that's why we're chasing it so bad.
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
Yeah?
And then I'm just going to kind of talk and maybe I'm onto something, maybe not. But in relationships, one of the big reasons why we get into relationships is because we want to be loved and feel protected. And I think the people who stand out to us naturally are just going to be, I think in general, like, we are attracted to people who just stand out a little more. And I think in the case of, like, forbidden fruit, like, they stand out not always because of personality, but they stand out because there's some kind of, they have, like, some kind of power, or they're, like, offering something that we think can, like, translate into, like, protection and love and understanding in some way. And then I think the other part is that for people who are probably good fits for us, like, we view them as more quiet and reserved, and maybe their life is just not as exciting.
Yeah.
And they're just, like, more normal.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, is this person, like actually gonna protect me, or are they just gonna, I don't know.
I think I'm kind of following this logic, and I kind of like it.
Yeah.
So it's like this normal person, like this relationship will come easy. But if a relationship is to come with this forbidden fruit, you have to fight for it so much up front, like before the relationship even starts, that it kind of shows that they're going to be there for you. They're going to protect you, because even to enter a relationship with a forbidden fruit is so much work. You have to go against so many rules, so many societal expectations. So it's like if you guys do end up having this relationship, it's a lot more effort that went into starting a relationship. And so it does offer more comfort and that feeling of like safety, and like because it was so hard to start.
Yeah.
And so messy, like you guys both had to navigate so many different things in order to decide, like, yes, we like each other so much that despite all of this, we want to be together.
Right.
And I think that kind of gives you a sense of like, like protection, safety, like security.
Right. But I think what we both see is that that's a false like feeling of safety and protection, right? Like even though you've put a lot of work into like building the foundation, it doesn't mean that the foundation's actually strong. Like if you're dating someone who is dating someone else, or like married to someone else, even though like you fought for it, you both fought for it, and you think it's gonna work, the reality is that they're cheating, right? So I
think I'm gonna put these on.
You reached all the way for it. I know. No, I need that right after you.
I know, be honest. But you're saying some non-delusional stuff right now, so that's why I put them on, because I think I'm still under the influence on some level of my forbidden fruit. Yeah. And so I'm only seeing, the positives, and I'm like arguing the wrong side. Like, because you're right. Like I've been watching Sex and the City lately, and they have a relationship. The guy's married, and this girl has a boyfriend, but they're in a relationship. And I can see it, like, as a third person viewing the show, like, I can see how this is messy, and, like, it's a false sense of security, and it's a false, like, you making this effort, but for what? Like, there's no end to this. So I do agree with what you're saying. So thanks for calling it out for what it actually is.
Yeah, and I think the other piece is, like, you both feel like you're fighting a hard situation, and it's like you're almost like you're on the same team, like working towards something. And that's just, it's like so delusional. But I don't want you to feel bad, because everyone does this.
Okay, which I'm glad that we're talking about this, because I think for a long time, Ethan, I carried a lot of guilt with my forbidden fruit, because I thought it was just me, and I felt like, this is so wrong. Like, why did I do this? Or like, why am I the one in this situation? But I'm glad to hear that, the stuff that you're saying, even though our situations were different, it's very relatable. Like, I have those same thoughts and those same feelings. So it feels nice to know.
I think when that happened, when this line got destroyed, do you think like it could ever go back?
I want to say I hope it can. And I have seen, my friends have been in similar situations, and, they seem to think that it can go back. If you really work at it. But I think in order for it to go back, that door, like that line has to be solid. Like there's no more crossing. I think if you keep it kind of like a dash line and like little stuff slips in and out, you can't go back. Like you have to make, and I'm really bad at, as we can see with serial data, I'm really bad at making taking firm stands. But you have to, like, with my friend who had a successful forbidden fruit story, stuff happened, that line was destroyed, but she placed it back, and it is there now. It does not get crossed there, like, and everything is normal, everything is fine again.
I'm curious, in your case with, do you like it? This is in the past. Like
this is in the past.
This has happened a long time ago. Do you think that, like, is it still on your mind? Does it like still make things awkward?
I think sometimes like it lingers, because I'm like very big like on communication, And which is something I should work on internally. Like, you don't always, like we talked about this on this podcast, you don't always get to have that last conversation. You don't always get to resolve things and get, hear them out and say your piece. And that is like a resolution in itself, Yeah. And I need to be okay with that. But I think because we didn't have that, like sometimes my mind gets confused. So no, right now in my mind, like it is not fully, like that solid boundary is there, but then sometimes it's like confusing, and sometimes I have thoughts or questions in my mind. Mm-hmm. Because after that line was destroyed, my thought was like, oh wow, he tried so hard. Like for me it was like a funny play thing, like, oh, I'm bored, I'm interested. But he reciprocated to a level that I did not expect. And so I was like, wow, he must really, really like me, because he also knew I'm his forbidden fruit also. Mm-hmm. So I was like, wow, like if he likes me so much, like maybe this can turn into something. Mm-hmm. And like that's just like a delusional rabbit hole that I started falling into.
I see. So I'm just going to speak for me, like standing on the outside, and also to give you guys an idea of what the cost could be like to mm-hmm. pursue someone who's forbidden. Mm-hmm. This is going to affect other areas of your life. Other people mm-hmm. who know the two of you, your family, like it comes up in subtle ways, mm-hmm. and it can affect like even like your mental health and how you view the world. Mm-hmm. And so if you find yourself in this situation, be very careful. Mm-hmm. Definitely. So for me, what really helped me in this situation, back then I wasn't close to a lot of guys, and that's something that I really wished for, mm-hmm. just like deeper friendships in general. Right. And going through that situation brought me closer to a lot of guys, because mm-hmm. I had to tell someone. Right. And
it's very hard to tell someone. Yeah. That is why we are calling him this happened so long ago. Yeah. And like I told you about it so much later. Yeah. Because when you've done something wrong and you've taken a bite out of that forbidden fruit, it's so scary, because you yourself know it was wrong. So like to confess to somebody else and to tell somebody else about it is also so like freaky. Like it's hard to do.
Yeah, you feel very vulnerable, you're embarrassed, and you're like, how did I like fall for something like this?
And especially, because these are like the stories that you hear, like maybe your friend did something similar, and like for you to go and repeat the same mistake is just like, you're basically coming to your friend saying, hey, I'm stupid, I know I'm stupid, but like this is what happened. Mm-hmm. It's hard to like take responsibility for that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I do still kind of side with you, Sania. I think it's probably, there is a chance to like bring back the line, mm-hmm. but it really takes a lot of time, and it takes like both people being willing to do that. Like if one person like, tiptoes on the line, then there's probably no chance.
Yeah. And maybe like I should talk to because like I said, a close friend of mine also has been in this situation, and like, to figure out how to get those boundaries back. Yeah. Because she didn't have
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. I'm going to share a little bit. And like, I need these glasses. But I think in my case is a little different, because I don't think I liked this person because she was forbidden. Okay. And what happened in my case was, like, we just hit it off right away. Mm-hmm. And the thought in my mind was, wow, I've never met a girl like this, ever. Wow. And it was like...
Did you find out after you liked her that she was forbidden? Or did you know she was forbidden going into it?
Also going into it. Like, okay. it was at the same time. Like, as I was getting to know her, it was like, wow, this person is so cool. Mm-hmm. Her background, her values... Mm-hmm. And it's just so easy to have conversations about her. Right. Like when I messaged her the first time, I didn't even have to think twice. It was just continuing the conversation we already had in person. Mm-hmm. And it didn't feel like I was like pulling at straws. Right. So, but then it was also like I saw how she interacted with people and how she's really generous, like with her money, with her time. And I was like, I've never seen a girl be generous in this way. And so I knew I was a goner. And then for me, like, I also knew she was forbidden, but I'm like, okay, this is just like a little obstacle to get through.
Okay.
And the thing in my mind was, even though she was forbidden, she didn't have to stay forbidden forever.
Okay.
So she's like moving away. But like, we've heard stories of long distance working out.
Right.
Like, so even though there's like some kind of boundary, I'm like, okay, it's not like permanent, and it's also not huge. And so that was what was going through my head. The problem is that everything I just said has like lies sprinkled all around it.
Okay.
I think the biggest lie that I told myself was that I've never met a girl like this, and I probably will never meet anyone like this again. And at that time, I just had a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
I thought that the ocean was small, and there, like, if I like kept waiting, I was gonna run out of options.
Yeah.
And to be honest, sometimes like I still want to believe that. Like, I feel myself like buying into that again, and I feel this pressure to just like get into a relationship.
Yeah, like lock down the first thing you see. Yeah.
But I think that was the first lie, because there are a lot of people who can be like that, right? I'm just like, because I've only lived in 2 places in my life, like, my view of the world is still small. It doesn't matter that I was born and raised in New York, like one of the biggest cities in the world, one of the most diverse. And it doesn't matter that like I'm here now in the Bay Area. Like, I still haven't seen a lot of the world. And for me to think that I'm not going to meet someone else with those kinds of qualities that are great qualities, but also basic human qualities is like kind of crazy. And then just like going off that, I should have already stopped. And then I think the next delusion was that I told myself that we could still be friends. And I was like, okay, we can be friends, and then if the situation changes, then, well, I'm already like in a good place to like pursue something.
Yeah. So you had like a dash boundary.
Yeah. I created the dash boundary. And then we became friends, and then the feelings kept coming. Yeah. And then I just got more and more attached. And that's when like I knew I went too far, when I felt myself getting too attached. And just to give you an idea, if you're a guy out there, you can relate to this. Like, let this be a warning sign to you. Like, for me, I knew it was getting bad when she wouldn't respond to my messages as frequently, and it just started messing with my head. Or I started like wondering, okay, why is she not initiating anymore? Or like overthinking the smallest things. Like when we're in a group, how come she isn't sitting next to me this time? So that's when I was like, okay, like, because I'm thinking about her like so much, this is not okay. Right. And then talking about the cost in this situation, I don't, like, we're friendly, but I don't think we're friends. Okay. And I think that's tough. And I don't think we've ever crossed the line. Okay. And like, in the end, like, I stopped it before it could go further. But I wish that we either just didn't become friends and were able to kind of like not even like go to a place that would make things weird. I don't think things are weird, but I think for me, the hard thing is that I have to set boundaries to like not talk to her. Otherwise, like I know I can just revert back to the way things were. And it kind of sucks that I have to do that.
Right.
But that is what it costs to,
that is what you
to
did.
draw the line.
Okay.
And I was going to say something else. Why does it always happen? Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay. So I guess in retrospect, looking back kind of, would you have still entertained this relationship the same way you did, knowing that it was a forbidden fruit? Because you said you knew that since the beginning it was kind of a forbidden fruit, but it might not be one. You know, lots of people do long distance. So in retrospect, like what would you do differently?
So actually, what I would say is I wouldn't even focus on the forbidden fruit part, or that shouldn't be the first line of reasoning.
Okay.
I think the first line of reasoning is having an abundance mindset.
Right.
If you have an abundance mindset, then when the red flags come up and the reason why they're forbidden comes up,
Right.
then it becomes really easy to move on.
Okay.
But if you don't have that abundance mindset, then you're going to start making excuses when these things come up. And you're going to be like, I don't want to pass on this person for
Right.
XYZ. And so, like, we really encourage you out there. There are a lot of people out there. It might seem that, like, where you're located or you're in your circles, people think one way. Like, maybe you think that they would never be attracted to someone like you.
Yeah.
Maybe you are short. And maybe like you don't have a nice face, or maybe like someone from your background is not gonna be accepted or something. But that's
Right.
just it. Yes, that might be true, might in your circles or like in your area, but that doesn't mean that's true everywhere. And
Okay.
everyone has value. Everyone brings something to the table. There are people out there who will love you for who you are and will think that you are the most beautiful person in the world. And don't let like your current situation and environment dictate like your hopes for a relationship. My friend told me this last night and I thought it was really helpful. It was for a different context, but he was telling me about how our feelings are always valid. Like our feelings, they come from somewhere and there's something that triggered that feeling, and it's human to feel those things. And a lot of times we feel like there's no one right for us, and we feel that we're unloved and lonely. But our feelings don't dictate reality. And reality is not shaped by what we feel. So I might feel lonely. Does that mean that objectively that I'm lonely? Is that my reality? No, because I have friends around me. I have people who care about me. And just because I feel that this person is a complete asshole, does that mean that that is who they are? No, like overall, they are not defined by them cheating me out of money. They are so much more than that. That is not actually the full reality. And so if you feel these things, you feel inadequate, you feel unloved, let this be a reminder that that is not reality. That is not all of reality. And you don't have to just do things because you're bored or you're lonely. The forbidden fruit feels so exciting, and it gives you that rush, especially when you're not like feeling everything you want to feel in your life.
Yeah.
And like, we want to encourage you to not fall into that.
Mm-hmm. Very well said. Some good advice.
That's what we're here for. Oh man. Okay. Just to like start wrapping things up, looking back, is there anything you would have done differently, Sania?
I think looking back, I think I would have tried to, when I started getting those ideas or those thoughts that stemmed from pure boredom and from that desire to be like sought after, I think I would have like shut it down there. Or maybe, because the people that I did tell about it, yeah, some people said to shut it down, but other people were like, maybe I'm around people that are still a little bit immature and like they're like, oh, do it for the plot. Or like, oh, this could be funny. Like, what if this happened? So I think I would have, in retrospect, like shut it down, knowing that it was just wrong and knowing the reasoning behind why I was even interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, what I would have done differently is I would have told my friends and been very honest about everything that was going on. Because even when I was telling people in the beginning, I would only tell them half the story.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get them to validate me. And that became dangerous because then I felt like I was doing the right thing. And then I would have also shut it down. And not just because they were forbidden fruit, but because if I was very objective and if I listened to the people giving me good advice, she wasn't a good fit anyway.
Right.
And that is the only reason why now I'm able to like move on from it, be free from it, because I've fully accepted that she's not the right person for me. And it took me a long time to get there and to accept that and to have closure, even though we've never had a conversation.
Okay.
But that is like, that's how I had to get there. And I hope that you guys, like, it's hard to think objectively when you're in this situation, but like when you talk about it with other people and they're able to help you be objective, forbidden fruit aside, there's probably reasons why this person is not good for you in general.
Or like you said, why they're not a right fit.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. I mean, I feel a lot better.
Yeah, me too.
This is not easy to talk about.
Yeah.
And we hope that you really get something out of this. We don't want this to just be like us talking and it going nowhere.
Yeah.
Like we want this to be done for a purpose, and so hopefully this was helpful for you. We're gonna wrap this up, I guess, fittingly with a toxicology report. We're gonna bring up 2 different situations and rate how toxic people are being in these situations. So the first one is when the person that you're interested in or talking to has a bad relationship with their family. Their family maybe isn't in the picture, or they don't talk to them often. They don't spend holidays with their family.
Okay.
You're ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I'm gonna think just a little more. I'm also ready.
Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Maybe like a
Wow.
half. Maybe 7.5.
7.5. I'm at a 6.
Okay.
Okay. I want to hear. Why are you at a 7.5?
So the reason it's not at a 10 is because people could have reasons.
Yeah.
There could be totally valid reasons why, you're not close with your family. But I'm assuming then maybe you'll have like a really close-knit group of friends or something that you can call family.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think, like, as somebody who is very close to her family, it's hard for me to think of someone just existing on the earth without having a connection like that. And like I said, it doesn't have to be your family that you're born into, but something similar.
Yeah.
And for me specifically, I don't know about, like, it's not toxic, but I mean, kind of, because I think having a good, strong relationship with your family kind of defines a lot of your own character. And it's just something that I value. Like, I like somebody who has family values. Mm-hmm. So it's negative if you don't have that.
Yeah, it could be. And I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I said it's slightly less toxic just because I think there's a lot of situations where people come from broken family backgrounds. Maybe your dad left, mm-hmm. or you came from an abusive home, mm-hmm. Or your parents had like addictions and mm-hmm. a gambling problem, and so that's why like there should be a boundary, and maybe you aren't so close to them. And I do agree with you. I think someone who is healthy in general, it doesn't mean that they have to be close to their family. Mm-hmm. I think it means that they have a good support system.
Yeah.
And I think that is what makes someone less toxic, because someone who has a support system, they will have people who will give them good advice, people mm-hmm. that they can lean on. And life is just a little healthier when you don't have to like go through all the terrible things alone. Mm-hmm. But I do also agree with you, like having family, there are certain values that come from that. Like even knowing how you want to have or start your own family, and even like having that experience of like taking care of other people. Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't mean you need a family to know those things. Mm-hmm. That is usually how people learn those things. Yeah. But
like maybe we're talking a little bit about, you know, if you have a bad relationship with your family and it's because of you, not because of anything that they're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that's super negative because your family is like your first, you know, they're like your first circle.
Yeah.
That's your core group. And if you're not having a healthy relationship with them, how can I, as somebody who wants to have a future with you, want to be part of your core group if you're not solid with your existing core group? You know, why would I want to participate in that?
Exactly. Like, if you're the reason why things are rocky with your family, like, if I saw that in a person, then I'm like, do I want my kids to not have
like grandparents?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
totally.
If that person is like fighting with their parents because of like cultural differences, or there's like some hurt that they can't forgive or work out, mm-hmm. how do I know that person's not gonna like forgive me when I mess up?
Exactly.
So so lots of things to think about, but I'm glad that we didn't say it was higher.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other situation we'll bring up today is if this person gives the silent treatment when they're upset about something.
I'm feeling particularly called out by this one.
Wait, I used to do this, so
really?
I hope you don't feel called out.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I want to say I used to, but sometimes I still do, and I know I shouldn't.
Okay. Sometimes my tendency is to do it, but then I'm like fighting it tooth and nail.
Yeah.
And okay, so I'm ready.
Okay, yeah, me too.
3, 2, 1. Whoa! Okay, here we go.
Say, mine might be a little biased.
5 out of 5, right?
5 out of 10. Might be a little biased because as somebody who has been used to giving the silent treatment whenever there's a problematic situation, I recognize that it's not a good way to solve problems. It's like so bad for communication. Like it's like it works against you so much because that silence gives the other person room to assume things and like think super negative thoughts that you might not even have.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll say 8. Okay, maybe I'll revise because I think sometimes
8 out of 5.
Sometimes you do need to take, I think you should be allowed to take a minute to just like compose yourself and like get your thoughts in order. Like rather than saying something that you don't mean. Mm-hmm. And so a temporary silent treatment, and like I've done silent treatment for like this is so embarrassing, but very recent, in 2024, I've given silent treatment of 2 months. Yeah. You can bleep this out, but and there was silent treatment. Like, how much worse can it get? But I thought it was me being healthy and just like avoiding the problem.
Yeah.
But then I talked to my dad, and he's like, that is so messed up. You should never, ever let somebody go to sleep mad.
Dad.
You can take a couple of hours, you can take a few minutes to, compose yourself, but you always need to, because my dad used to never let me go to sleep mad. He would always come and like sort it out.
Wow.
If I'm sad, if I'm upset, he never ever, go to sleep. Within a 30-minute window, he would be there to be like, all right, if you're feeling better, like we can talk, we figure this out, because I'm not letting you be upset and with your upset thoughts for that long.
Wow, your dad needs to be on this podcast now. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm at an 8 because a temporary silent treatment is okay, but these prolonged ones are completely toxic. I understand that they're not good.
So the reason why I give it a 10 is because I think even a temporary silent treatment is not okay.
Okay.
I think I totally agree with you in that sometimes you shouldn't address things right away because you're still angry, you're still feeling all those things, and it can come out in a bad way. Mm-hmm. And you say things that you don't mean.
Exactly.
And like everyone goes through that.
Yeah.
But I think in those situations, instead of just doing temporary silent treatment, you just say, hey, I can't talk right now. Like, give me some time. Like, let me sort out my thoughts, and then we can talk.
This is also what my dad said.
So that is not temporary silent treatment. Okay, that is still communication, effective communication.
And honestly, you know what? I've been on the receiving end. I've gotten, I don't want to say ghosted, but like silent treatment from, again, you can bleep this out, like, and it was just like nothing. It was like radio silence. Like I'm texting a wall.
Wow.
And I talked to another friend that was in a similar situation to this one that was treating me like this. And he said that sometimes it is hard to talk and it is hard to communicate certain feelings if you're really, really hurt. But in those situations, the other friend was very good at communication. He said, hey, I can't talk about this now. I need to process, but I will circle back to you. Mm-hmm. And that is so much, like, again, being on the receiving end, that is much more reassuring than this other person who just like went silent.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's night and day.
Fine, maybe I'll get to 10.
I just want to be clear, like, sometimes, like, that is what I want to do. Like, if someone doesn't meet my expectations and I feel like they should know better, I just, like, that is my...
The automatic reaction.
Yeah. And I'm like, you should know better, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't need to tell you that.
Yeah.
But... I think I realized it just doesn't help anyone.
Yeah.
And I've also been on the receiving end of silent treatment, and it just feels like you have to fight two battles. You have to get them talking again, and then you have to resolve the situation. So
true.
It's really hard and exhausting. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Wow.
What an episode, man. Like, Sania and Sania didn't want to talk about this, and then to be honest, like, when Sania first brought this up as an idea, I didn't even want to talk about it. And then here we are. You're welcome.
Maybe in the lost episodes files.
I don't know. I have a feeling like, we're going to edit some of this. But
you're going to push these out.
I think so. I hope it's going to help someone out there.
Yeah, I do think, it is helpful.
Okay. Well... We appreciate your support. It really means a lot to us. And so let us know if you're getting things out of this. We would love to hear from you. And we'll catch you guys next time.